may the material body of Nimi, who considers himself learned, immediately fall. There's no purport to that. So then the next verse, translation, for unnecessarily cursing him when he had committed no offense, Maharaj Nimi counter-cursed his spiritual master. For the sake of getting contributions from the King of Heaven, he said, you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore, I pronounce this curse. Your body will also fall. Purport. The religious principle for a Brahmana is that he should not be greedy at all. In this case, however, for the sake of more lucrative remunerations from the King of Heaven, Vasishta neglected Maharaj Nimi's request on this planet. And when Nimi performed the sacrifices with other priests, Vasishta unnecessarily cursed him. When one is infected by contaminated activities, his power, material or spiritual, reduces. Although Vasishta was the spiritual master of Maharaj Nimi, because of his greed, he became fallen. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Yeah. So I'm happy to be with all of you here again, Bruce. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Before I begin, I would like to request the blessings of all of you here, so that I may speak something which is in line with our Guru Parampara, that is beneficial and inspiring to our hearts, and that our hearts themselves become fertile ground for this sublime message to take root on. So today we're hearing, like most of the stories from the 9th canto, a very mind-blowing story about the relationship between Maharaj Nimi and Vasishta Muni. So I'm not going to go through all of the story again, because this is, I'm sure that every speaker that you hear is always summarizing the chapter for you, and probably afterwards there will be other speakers that will also summarize it for you. So what we hear in these two in these two verses are the crux of the story here, which is Maharaj Nimi is asking Vasishta Muni for him to perform this sacrifice, and and Vasishta Muni told him, like, no, wait a moment, don't do it. I'll come back and I'll do this for you. Now, because this was not followed, cursing and counter cursing happened. This cursing and counter cursing is happening between a disciple and a guru. And this cursing is not just like, whatever. Is actually like, may you die. And in those times, most likely this is the same Treta Yuga. When you pronounce a curse, it happens. It actually takes place. So it's quite serious. So immediately one might say, like, wait, how is it that a disciple and a guru are battling in this way, and it's such a horrible thing. So again, this is the 9th canto. So in the 9th canto, you can expect all sorts of mind-blowing stories. What we have to understand is a couple of things. Okay, first of all, why did Maharaj Nimi disobey the orders of Vasishta? That's the first question that we have. Vasishta Muni, he was going to go to the King of Heaven, Indra, and perform this yagya. Now, if anybody of you has ever been to a yagya, yagyas are long. Yagyas are very long. Uh, and even the ones that we're generally here in that we see nowadays, they're condensed versions of the yagas that are normally performed. Yagas generally, especially the type of yagas that these people did back then in Treta Yuga, they were elaborate, big, long, drawn yagas that would last for days and days. These are not yagas that are just like very short. No, these are days and days. Now, this is going to be happening for Indra. Now, if you remember the demigods, they are in a different realm, and in their realm, time goes at a different pace. Basically, one day and night for them is a whole year for us. So when we're talking about yagyas that take days, we're literally talking about things that will take years here on Earth. So it is saying here that Maharaj Nimi, he was he was just like thinking like, wow, I don't know if I can do this. Life is so short. Human life is so short that it's meant for self-realization. And back in the time of Treta Yuga, what was the required form for self-realization? It was yagyas. These sacrifices, the big sacrifices that they did. So basically, what Vasishtha Muni was telling him, Maharaj Nimi, was, wait a couple of years. Who knows how many years really like that, but wait, many years until I come back and do this thing for you. But Maharaj Nimi is going like, I can die at any moment. What to speak of, and this yagya is my way of advancing spiritually. It's my way of worshiping the Lord. It's my way of connecting to the Lord. So it's something that you say. Maharaj Nimi was in this anxiety that, what if I die? In the time that he comes, that Vasishtha comes, and I don't perform the worship of the Lord as I'm supposed to, and I don't become self-realized. I can't wait for this. I have to do it. So he just went ahead and asked some other priests to do it for him. So there was nothing wrong on his part right now to, quote unquote, disobey the orders of the spiritual master, because it was for the sake of advancing spiritually. And by the way, it is said here in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Maharaj Nimi was actually a self-realized soul. So he knew basically the time, place, and circumstance. He has perfect understanding of these things. Now, Vasishtha Muni, when he came back, he saw that his disciple had disobeyed his order. But it is said here by Prabhupada and by the Acharyas that Vasishtha Muni got greedy. He got greedy, and because of that, he decided to just go ahead and curse his disciple. This greed comes because he wanted the remuneration not only of Indra but also of Maharaj Nimi. He wanted the remuneration of both. So he, what he should have actually done in the very first place is like, okay, I'm going to go I've already committed myself with Indra. Here's a representative of mine that can do the yagya on my behalf, and so that you can continue on your spiritual path by doing this yagya. But instead, he thought like, no, I want the remuneration that will come from this yagya. And so he said, wait for me. I want that. And what happens when greed overtakes us? We become angry when we don't get it, when we don't get what we're greedy for. And then we lose our intelligence and we do things that we regret. And so then Vasishtha Muni is becoming angry and he curses Maharaj Nimi to die. That is very strong. That is that to that degree his greed had come. Now, why did Maharaj Nimi counter curse Vasishtha Muni? We can say that, well, there's no need for a Vaishnava to curse somebody else, especially a self-realized soul. Again, this is not account of, we have to see things in a much broader perspective. Maharaj Nimi, being a self-realized soul, and this being Treta Yuga, he understood that the implications of one falling down are not small. Remember that right now in Kali Yuga, it is said that even mental offenses, that mental offenses are not taken seriously. Only physical ones are actually punished in this Kali Yuga. But back in the day of Treta Yuga, even mental ones, even mental offenses would bring about a very strong reaction. What to speak of actually cursing somebody to die, a Vaishnava to die. So that, and especially out of greed. So Maharaj Nimi understood that the consequences for this person, for Vasishtha Muni, were going to be very grave. And out of compassion, actually, he cursed him. Why? Because this is what kings did back in the day. If you remember the way that kings dealt with people who break the law, they if the offense is very grave, they would sentence them to death. Why? Because by doing so, they're finishing off that karma that would otherwise be carried onto the next life, and that would make that person suffer a lot. So Maharaj Nimi, being a king, is applying this to Vasishtha Muni. It's something very inconceivable, and again, this is not something that we can do now in our days. But he is a self-realized soul, and because of that, he knows time, place, and circumstance to do it. Now, this is not something that we have to do today. The acharyas tell us what we have to do nowadays. We learn from the acharyas what we have to do for this age of Kali. And who are those? Well, Lord Chaitanya is showing us how we should deal with the spiritual master. When his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri, asked Lord Chaitanya, please, you go ahead and tell me if I have made some error in this manuscript. Lord Chaitanya said, no, it's okay. You just go ahead and publish it as it is, because even if there are mistakes, this is coming from you, and it's transcendental. So even if there's mistakes, it's okay. I know that your motives are pure, and that this was done in line with our Siddhanta, so it's okay. He said, no, please look at it, because I would like to make it nice. So he said, fine. And he found one mistake. He said, oh, it's this little thing where this verb should have been conjugated in, I think it was either parasmaipada or manipada, and he said like you should have conjugated in the other way because it's one of those verbs that can be conjugated in one of two ways. And Ishvara Puri said like, well, let me think about it. No, I thought about it. You're wrong. So Lord Chaitanya, his Nimai Pandit, he knows grammar inside and out. He is famous throughout all of Navadvip, who was like that in this town was like the Oxford, the Boston of India at that time. And his spiritual master is telling him like, no, you're wrong. So Lord Chaitanya just took it completely, and he said, yeah, don't worry. I am a fool. I understand this, and I accept it. This is how we should always present ourselves to the Guru. Like, I am a fool. Please instruct me. And not think that we are better than our gurus. There's a story, which is even more poignant, of Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. There is this big Vijay Pandit, this learned scholar that came to Vrindavan once, and he was a big Vijay Pandit. That means that he was conquering all directions. He was going from town to town, challenging people to debates, and telling them, yeah, if I defeat you, you have to write your name on this scroll. And he had this Vijay Patra, this scroll that said, I have defeated all of these great learned scholars. And so he was coming in, with a big procession into Vrindavan, going like, yeah, I am the man. And he was, when he was doing this, he heard that Rupa and Sanatan Goswami were amazing scholars. So he said, I'm going to go defeat them because I've been hearing so much about them. He went to them. He said, I challenge you to a debate. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they looked at him and they just felt pity for him. It's like, this person is just so much in Maya, and all he has in life is this scroll. He likes to boast it around. You know what? Here you go. Here's my name. So both of them signed and said, we're not going to debate you. You're such a great scholar. Just go ahead, take your scroll and leave. They didn't want to waste time with him. So this big Vijay Pandit was so happy. He went later and heard that their nephew was an upcoming scholar that was very, very famous, Jiva Goswami. And he said, if I can get him now, while he's small, while he's very young, then I will have his signature, rather than wait years and then for him to become like even more learned, and then things will be more difficult. So he approached him and said like, hey, your uncles signed this scroll. You should also do it. And then he got really, really angry because he understood that his uncles had done it out of humility, out of just. But this guy, he was thinking that he was actually so great that he had defeated them without having to debate with them. So he said, you know what? I'll accept your challenge. I'm going to go and fight and debate with you. So they started debating, and after a couple of days, Jiva Goswami completely obliterated him, and this Digvijay Pandit left town without announcing it to anyone. Now this was nice because he had Jiva Goswami at that point. He had given the honor back to his uncles, and it is said that one should, stand up for one's guru. But then when he went to Rupa Goswami said, I heard that you debated this person. Why did you do it? Don't you see that he was just puffed up? You wasted so much time and so much energy just to debate him. And this is because you are proud. You're proud of your learning. And in Vrindavan, there is no place for proud people. So you should just leave. Now, what would you do if this happened to you? No, Gurudev, you don't understand. I was trying to clear up your name. This guy was just going around. What would people think? I was doing it like. He didn't do any of that. What he did do was just pray and say, yes, Gurudev, you're right. I am very puffed up. And because of that, I debated him. And then he left crying. And it is said that he left town and nobody knew where he went. He went at the outskirts of a town in Vrindavan, in a hole. He just went into a hole and he was just like crying there and praying and chanting. That's all he did. He was just heartbroken, thinking, I am such a proud fool. My Guru Maharaj, he saw right through me. He saw that I was just this wretched person that is so proud, and now I'm paying for it. And he was just like praying and chanting and crying. And it is said that his uncle, Sanatana Goswami, was passing by, because he used to like go from town to town, visiting all of the Vrijavasis. And in one, he heard one some of the Vrijavasis say like, hey, there's this great Babaji, he barely eats anything, he is just like emaciated and he just lives in that hole over there. And he said like, oh, it's a Babaji? Yeah. And then they sort of described, this Babaji. He said, I think I know who this is. And he went over and he saw Jiva Goswami. And yeah, he was completely emaciated. And he was just a pool of tears and regret. And so Sanatana Goswami felt so much compassion for him. So he went back to Rupa Goswami and told him, my dear brother, I think that you're neglecting one of Lord Chaitanya's instructions for us. So like, oh, I am. Please tell me, brother. Like what am I neglecting? He said, well, what are the things that Lord Chaitanya instructed us to do? He said that there are 3 principles. One is to chant the holy names of the Lord, right? And what is it? Chant the names of the Lord. And when he got to the Jivadoya, being kind to all jivas, he understood, oh, being kind to all jivas, and he understood that it meant being kind to Jiva Goswami. And so at that moment, he took back Jiva Goswami and nursed him back to health personally. Now, what this shows us is that Jiva Goswami was never angry with his guru, and even though he was completely justified in what he did, he didn't say, "Well, my Guru Maharaj doesn't understand me," or he didn't see the whole picture. He just said, this is whatever he's saying is true of me, and I accept it, and I just pray to the Lord. This is the mood in this age that we have to take towards this. So why is the Bhagavatam giving us this other this other view. Like what are we to learn from this story of the Bhagavatam? That is, if it's not for this age, why is it there in the Bhagavatam? Well, what we can understand from this part of the Bhagavatam is that greed can come to any of us, and it's so insidious that even a great personality such as Vashishta Muni can be influenced by that greed. Vashishta Muni is not just a learned person. It's not just he's a rishi. He's one of the Sapta rishis. He's one of the seven great rishis that has a planet in the constellations. He's also said to be one of the persons who wrote part of the Rig Veda and part of the Agni Purana and Vishnu Purana also are attributed to him. The Yoga Vashishta and the Vashishta Samhita. So he is an incredible personality, and in a couple, in later times, when King Janak is mentioned there, he will become the spiritual master of Lord Ram and his brothers. So this is an incredible personality, and yet he was overtaken by greed. This is explained here by Prabhupada in the purport, and also by the acharyas, that he was overtaken by greed. Greed can happen to any of us, and generally we say like, oh, I'm not that greedy. I don't have greed. But the nature of the pollutants of the heart, such as greed, lust, anger, illusion, all of these things, they are such that they will attack us, and we won't know that they are there because we're blindsided. Lord Krishna says that this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. So even an incredible personality such as Vashishta Muni can be influenced by that. How much more will we be so? We are, if you want to see whether you are influenced by it or not, just think about it the next time that you're going over for an incredible prasadam, and that the paneer sabji, which you love so much, or the sweet rice, there's only a little bit left, and you haven't gotten any, and you put some in your plate, and you see that there are a couple more people that are just going to come right after you. How much are you going to put on your plate? A lot of things start spinning in our head at that moment. Well, especially if these people, you see them coming, but they're not right there with you. So you could take all of it and just leave at that point, and nobody would notice. How much will you say like, okay, well, I'm actually going to like stop here and leave them a little bit so that they can all have? It becomes hard. But this is just, a little example. And we could have some, so much more greed that we're just not seeing. Greed, for many, the thing about greed is that generally the more you have, the more it tends to grow. And so because of that, the scriptures, they gave us these instructions, especially for householders, because in householder life there is this facility to attain things, to have things. So in the seventh canto, it is explained that in order to divert this greed, one must give in charity, and two, one must do deity worship. These two things will keep that greed that is so natural in the for us to get into. Generally, it is said that that a person should just go ahead and call out to everyone, "Is there anybody hungry? Does anybody want to eat?" 3 times before actually taking prasad. Now, that may not be the best thing when you're living in New York, because who knows, what kind of people will come to you if you say that. But there are ways in which you can still give in charity. For example, you can give in charity to Adipurush Prabhu's meal plans for the homeless. That's a wonderful way in which you can give in charity and feed people prasad. So there's that facility. There's also the facility of giving in charity to the Bhakti Center for the worship of Shri Radha Murlidhar, which brings the second part, which is also the deity worship for the deity in the temple. You can go to the Bhakti Center and do worship of Radha Murlidhar and Shri Gaurachandra, or devote some time to making beautiful garlands or serving the deities in any shape, way, or form, and also at your home. Installing beautiful deities there and worshiping them. Why? Because when you do that, especially at home, then you understand that this is not my place. When you're doing this, you're actually utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjatah nirvanda krishna sambande yukta vairagyam uchyate. It is said by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu that yukta vairagya, using the energy of the Lord for the sake of the Lord, has to be done without being attached. Doing everything, utilizing everything for the Lord. And this is wonderfully done when you have a deity at home, because you understand that actually the deities are the ones who are owning the house. I'm just here doing work for them. I'm just here, paying the bills. Last night I went to this beautiful home program of Ramayani Prabhu and Rasarani Leela Taji. And they were celebrating their deity's 3rd year anniversary of being installed in their house. It was such a beautiful program, and you could see that they're the center of the home, and that they're just seeing themselves as the caretakers of the house. When you do this, then you no longer have a sense of possessorship, like, oh, this is my house. This is this is my furniture. This is my food. Everything is the deities, and I'm just here taking care of it. There, you can really develop this idea that I am just using everything for the service of the Lord, and in that way curb this greed that starts happening when we believe ourselves to be the possessors of things. This is mine. This is for my enjoyment. When we know Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer, the supreme controller and the friend of all living entities, then we can be peaceful. When we become greedy, when we think that we own things, then this fright, this anxiety comes that I have to get more and I have to protect what I have. And so a person cannot be truly happy in the state of anxiety. So I have left 7 minutes so that we can have maybe some discussion. If anybody would like to, say, ask a question or give a comment or make a nice joke, it has to be nice. Then now is the time. Okay, so I can keep going a little bit more if you want. There are interesting things that I found about Vashishta Muni as I was reading this, because one of the things that you do wonder when you look at this is, who is Vashishta Muni? Vashishta Muni. It is said that this birth that he's going to take next is going to be his third birth. The first birth was from Lord Brahma. He is said to be one of the mental sons of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma generated him just by thought, and and that was the first birth. Now Vashishta Muni was also there at the yagya where Daksha, was performing, and where there was this big chaos where everybody started killing each other. That yagya, he was there and he was killed at that point. And so Lord Brahma brought him back to life. And I saw that that Vashishta Muni, after he got cursed from Maharaj Nimi, he went to Lord Brahma and said, like, hey, I got this curse. So Lord Brahma said, okay, well, look, Mitra and Varuna, these demigods, they have just, and we will hear about this later. They have just released some semen when they saw the Apsara Urvashi. Now these are very powerful demigods, and this was collected in a pot. You take birth from that. So that was his third birth, and after this third birth, that's when he's going to be able to be the spiritual master of Lord Ramachandra. And another interesting thing that I found about Mitra and Varuna is that they're both considered asuras and also demigods. This was something like interesting, because Mitra is generally in some contexts he is seen as the demigod of friendship, and in some others as the demigod of vows, of oaths, vows, and when they're put together, Mitra and Varuna as a Dvandva compound in Sanskrit, they're putting them in a category of like the two of them always being together. Sometimes Varuna is said to be related to night and Mitra to day. So when it comes to the cycle of day and night, it is Varuna who puts things in darkness, covers things in darkness, and Mitra who puts things in light. So these two, when combined, they generated the new Vashishta Muni. So it is quite amazing, that birth that he took from them. So again, Vashishta Muni is not just a regular person. He is an amazing personality. And what the Bhagavatam tells us is that, even he can be affected by greed. What to speak of us? How much more so should we be attentive to this greed? Because he didn't see it. What he saw coming was that here's a disciple of mine who disobeyed me, and because he disobeyed me, he should die. This was his thought process, and for him, everything was perfectly. That there was a perfect reason for everything, and that he was doing the right thing. So we should always be in the association of devotees, so that they can help point to us. Prabhu, I think you're being greedy here. I think you may be overreacting in this thing, and for us to calm down and understand our position, that we may have been affected by greed, at least temporarily. So it is 8 o'clock right now. So if there's no further comments or anything like that, then I just wish you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I ask one thing quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, one thing is, did I hear you correctly to kind of equate greed with that disobedience? Anger over the disobedience.
Well, what happened was that right now, Vashishta Muni, what did he see? What was in his mind? He saw that his disciple didn't do what he told him. So in his mind is like, well, he should die. He became angry because, as I explained earlier, this idea of greed that just takes over the mind. What happens when it's not fulfilled? Then anger starts settling in, and when the anger comes, then you can't the intelligence is lost.
Yeah, but the greed was for what? His greed there was for what?
Because he wanted remunerations from both Indra and Maharajini.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just, in a separate but related point, I just trying to understand how, because he's a Vaishnav, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and especially someone so exalted, you would never expect this level of greed or anger for somebody that exalted. I was trying to recall that.
And you also wouldn't expect the level of lust that Lord Brahma exhibited or Lord Shiva exhibited. So what the Bhagavatam is telling us is, even great personalities like these can get affected. What to speak of you? Don't think that the power of Maya is just a little bit. I just have a little bit of greed. I'm not really so greedy. No, or I can't be affected by greed. I'm just doing everything properly, and I can't be affected by greed. No, Prabhupada himself was saying that he was always praying that he wouldn't fall down.
Mm.
So the reason why Prabhupada did not fall down was because he was always in this consciousness of praying to the Lord for protection.
Yeah, I guess too. Yeah, I get your point. I guess, you know, at when the devotees are so exalted, you wouldn't expect the greed to manifest in such a gross way.
Well, the thing is that these things never come out immediately. These things are building up over time. It's not that one day, you know, like he just like, you know, Vasishtha Muni became, you know, like super greedy, you know, because, you know, he received, you know, a lot of remuneration from somebody. This is a buildup. And if we're not attentive, to these things, it can get us because we become blindsided. What is it? The frog jumps out of the boiling
Water.
water if it's turned up all the way, but if it's turned up, you know, increasing,
just hot. Yeah.
It will die from it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is what Maya does to us. She knows that, you know, like if she turns it on, you know, like immediately, like, well, oh yeah, I'm being super greedy here. But if she does it gradually, so that it's just like, oh, a little bit here, a little bit more, like that, then we won't notice what is going on. And now what we see here is just like the end result of something that has been building up.
Yeah, cumulative effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and we could also, you know, see that the Bhagavatam here is just showing us, here's an example of somebody who gets affected by greed. You know, you should be careful too. To always monitor, always have, you know, alarms set off everywhere about greed, about lust, about anger, about illusion, about everything. So always set those alarms everywhere and be ready to jump on it immediately as soon as something starts going off.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. And thank all of you for listening. I hope that you know, maybe you got some good points, or at least that you got some nice rest. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai. Shri Radha Muni Das Ki Gaura Chand ki. Jai.
Sorry.